All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here to continue our Monday. Pardon me, there, January 22nd, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Great to see all of our students and members rejoining us. Perhaps had Kathleen just before, Gary, Andrea, had Philip just before as well. And hey, if you could hear me, just give me a quick chat back. Let me know, folks, just loud and clear. And then for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., etc. From there at Cyber Trading U. Great to see Michael, Bill, Mark, Amy, Chris, Leda, all of our students rolling on in right now. So I'll tell you what, if you're just getting back to your desk right now, good timing, because normally around 3:30, certainly 3:30, that's where we expect more traction within the market heading into the close. But if you were here throughout the day, namely this mid-afternoon, just before we started this meeting, I mean, really, the playbook was literally given to us in this main chat board. I harp on this actually because we just came off of class earlier this morning, restarting the phase one curriculum again, right from the very top, and discussing the significance of being at least in the chat board, reading the chat while you're at your computer. Obviously, if we are away, if we are at lunch enjoying the good old outdoors, honestly, that's probably better. But if you're at your desk and you're reading this main chat, Rich is posting the book map links or the images to level 4, and I'm making the call outs here otherwise. And it was on these two trades here, DWAC, more volatile stock, obviously, with that said, but Trump stock, and back from when he won the caucus, it led to a big pop. And well, today, once again, another big move. I expecting another run this morning? No, not necessarily. And in fact, the more expensive this even becomes, the thinner the order book gets, and it was very thin to begin. So it is just to say, at least we have experience with this stock back from 2021. One of our students, Alex P, probably killed it on this trade earlier. I know he was, going pretty excited about it just before, going into the early afternoon. But with that said, though, this stock ended up making such a good push in the morning or heading into the afternoon that, well, perhaps we could see support build, right? Perhaps. I mean, maybe not, and just breaks lower, then we take a small loss and that's it. But, but where you tend to see this giant stack of iceberg orders. Look at the stack here. Basically, every 30 cents, every 20 to 30 cents, they're about 20,000 shares a pop. How often do you see something like this show on any stock, right? I mean, not too often. I mean, to have it this cleanly distributed like this. So what happened was it crashed into the support under and over, and it's flying right now. So as you can imagine, I took half my trade out just before at 45, looking at least to take a little off the table there, and I still have half left. And between this and PHUN, that's another, you can call it a Trump stock. It moves with DWAC. This is not looking nearly as strong. It's obviously a lot cheaper, but also with that said, these quote unquote penny stocks, we don't really gravitate towards as much. So the DWAC will definitely add to our list. I think there's also warrants for this as well, but those aren't really like trading any good volume. Okay. Well, you'll have to really try and make do with what we got on the order book for DWAC, this one at least here. But incredible trade from 40 to 41, that area. I know I just went over that pretty quickly, and it was pretty simple to at least see. I mean, pretty straightforward looking at it after the fact. But I will cover this at least in Traders Talk tomorrow, our weekly workshop. We'll look to analyze that trade a little bit further from head to toe. All right, but we did just say we have class coming up at 3:05 Eastern Time, the Phase 1 stock course continuing. We're going to be talking about best and worst times of the days to be trading. So, pretty important class. We'll talk about why we tend to wait the first 5 minutes. We'll tend to, we'll explain as to why we wait until 3:30, namely for the afternoon trading. If not, from now, then we'll tend to wait a little bit. But why? We'll cover that in class. But what we'll just do, though, is go from top to bottom here. SGMT. This has just been a head case up and down. And yeah, you could say the same with DWAC, but given the price early this morning in pre-market, a $7-10 stock, you would figure that this would be more filled in than that one I'm in right now, the DWAC. So this is just very illiquid for the price. I don't really like that. Had a nice little pop at the open. Actually had a nice little bounce heading into the early to mid-afternoon. If we come back and it's like popping all of a sudden, really back up towards 19, then I'll obviously reconsider. But for right now, I'm going to pass on this trade. RVSN, speaking about a stock making a bounce back up here too, but this one a little bit more liquid, more volume on the book for this trade, so a little bit more manageable for any of our new students joining us here. I'll put both on the side. I'll come back to both at the end of it all. Obviously, I like the spread and the order book for this one here, but we'll come back to both. Normally, a stock like that doesn't really make a big second wind type of move. It might bounce for a little bit, but then it comes crashing back down after. So. MRAI, another AI company, much like BFRG actually, but very similar to BFRG. Unfortunately, both are like just chop fests. This actually has been on a nice trend up from the lows, but minute by minute by minute, it's like watching like the grass grow. You're kind of like grinding your teeth, like come on, like move up faster already. Make a better move here at this point. Even BFRG from this morning, listen, the more expensive any stock gets, it's going to become faster moving, more volatile in that sense. But this is on a very low float stock. So once it ended up running its course in the morning, it actually has still been holding strong, but that's even worse. It lures you in, it teases you, and what goes up always comes back down. All right. That's the learning lesson. And especially for something that makes a really large move percentage wise or something that has a pretty low float to begin. And this is kind of both of that. So, stock went from 250 up to near 8 in 3-4 days time, and it's on like a 1.8 million share float, something pretty small like that. So the MRAI, if I were to go back to this one, at least, it's at the highs. It's, shaky too, but at least up off a nice trend from the lows. So I'll just add that there. Let's see what else we got. Octomark. Ooh, another cheapie that popped before, but the stock is a pop and drop as well. Not going to add that. Rumble had some news out this morning, ended up partnering with Barstool Sports. I know we were talking about them even from last week with Save, Spirit Airlines, for different reason, but no, they ended up making some partnership. Rumble, video sharing company, and Barstool Sports. So it led to a little pop this morning. It's actually making a small little move back up right now, about like 20 cents worth. Not bad. Holding over the VWAP still. You know what? Where we don't really have too big of a watch list here for the time being, I'll kind of slip that on for right now. Rumble. Another AI stock, CXAI. I didn't even notice this until just now. Save. This one's pretty volatile in a good sense. I mean, just you don't want to fall in love with this stock trying to buy it over and over and over. To kind of go back on that company Barstool and the owner of it, Dave Portnoy. Funny announcement. He ended up timing this like perfect, of course, with the news that came out. He ended up announcing on Twitter that he bought a ton of Spirit Airlines. It was back last week. And the literal moment and second in which he had hit publish, they announced news of restructuring, and the stock tanked 25% pretty much right from there. So that was on top of the previous news with the judge blocking the deal between JetBlue and Spirit. So there's all sorts of things going on with this company. Hey, where this stock has a more liquid order book, I like that. That promotes volatility at least. So long as the order book doesn't get too big or too open, that's fine by me. I'll add this here. Got open, pass here, pass on that too. Got a lot more that's up over like 5%, folks. So for like, Roger, Chris, Grant, any of our students here, Leda, of course, all of us otherwise, just let me know if anything else is looking good. Pop and drop FSR. We knew that was going to happen here after the initial run up. All right, so if there is anything else looking good, like we just said, type it in the chat board right now. Let us know. We'll hop over to the loser side here. PCSA, hard to borrow on my platform. Not really going anywhere either. ADM, I'll tell you what, this is certainly going somewhere. It's been dropping all morning, all day. It is easy to borrow, a little bit more expensive, but it actually has a very filled in order book for the price. So I'll kind of slip it on our watch list here at the bottom. Good short. And if it fails to break lower, it is down enough where if it fails to break lower, it's not your first thought, but that ADM could potentially be a dead cat bounce. But think short first. Gilead Sciences down big today also. I don't know, is this off earnings or off some sort of news with drug? I don't even care to check, honestly. We don't have time to check. We got class coming up. No, it's not even that. It's to say, hey, this stock is at the lows. It is shortable. It has a pretty liquid order book. It is tradable, right? So those are the things I focus on if I'm looking to make money. Now, Chris saying that Bitcoin broke below 40,000, or Christian F. Yeah, we'll take a look at that, or we'll at least kind of like harp on that before we finish up this meeting. Talked about it earlier. I gave you a nice price to watch for the time being there. Close to 40K. All right, so I think that's going to about do it here, right? Nothing else really looking too good otherwise, up or down, and we got a decent list now at this stage. We got 6 stocks that made it. To me, that's honestly like just perfect. RVSN, nasty shake back down and below the VWAP too. So that's why we kind of put it on our side list just to come back to it. Not really a fan of that move there. SGMT, again, just pretty flat right now in comparison. So if you did well on this stock earlier, you know who you are. If not, then I don't want you following. All right, so Bitcoin, let's talk about that really briefly. I don't have the chart to show, Christian, but I will say I was calling this price out to our students even from the end of last week, and it's actually here right now, 39,500. I was mentioning that to Bill and a few of our students in the audio commentary this morning. That does not mean it's going to bounce directly off of 39,500, but we'll look for a bounce over time, and that could be over the night tonight into tomorrow at some point. With that said, if it does make a pretty decent bounce within the next 90 or so minutes, perhaps Mara can go with it, right? But it doesn't seem it just yet. So I'm going to pass on all those crypto stocks for right now as a day trade. But keep it in mind as a swing trade coming up, because finally Bitcoin's now at a price I was looking at for a potential bounce. If it wasn't going to continue up and hold above 46.7 it was, or 46.5, well, we're going to pull back. And, well, we ended up dropping off pretty quick and then consolidated. And here we are now, pretty much at the next level I'm looking at, 39,500. If it makes a very clean break below that tonight, then we're looking at our next support around like 36. So I'm not expecting I'm not guaranteeing a bounce right away on Bitcoin from that 39.5, but it is a price I will look to see if it could build up on, over the next 24 hours, we'll call it, 48 hours, we'll call it. All right. So if you're interested in Bitcoin, as the kids nowadays say, watch this space. Follow us, and we'll be in touch together, all right? So, hey, that goes across the board to all of us inside our live trading room, but of course to all of us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works, at Cyber Trading You. Post that there at the end of the stream, right as always, at Cyber Trading You. If you're not followed to any of our social media streams and platforms just yet, especially by tomorrow morning, we have our live workshop Traders Talk being conducted on YouTube. Make sure to follow us. Hit the subscribe button right there. Of course, we encourage you to get the full service of our workshops and classes and commentary inside our live trading room. Just scan that QR code on the top left of the stream just to get yourself access to a week-long trial. We'll be back on the mic at 3 o'clock coming up here with my colleague Rich. I'll be in class. I'll be with all of our gold students coming up here in the Phase 1 stock course, so keep that in mind. But hey, if you're not in class with us here heading into the close, best of luck trading. And again, we'll be back at it tomorrow morning and with our workshop Traders Talk, folks. See everybody then. Take care.